Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be about reading and books, pretty much. So I've recently jumped into the world of Bookstagram. For those of you who don't know what it is, that is a section of Instagram that is all about reading and books and different authors and stuff like that. So it's literally so many Instagram pages dedicated towards reading. Now, I don't think I've ever said on this channel how much I love reading. Reading is one of my favorite pastimes, one of my favorite hobbies. It's something that I do probably way too much. But I recently decided to get up the courage to make my own Bookstagram because I figured, I love reading, so why not jump into that world that I love? And the people on Bookstagram have been so welcoming and so inviting that I'm thankful that I did it. So I figured I would make a video kind of talking about my favorite books, books that I'm reading, books that I have read, books that I'm excited to read, because I've started finding these videos very, very entertaining, and I've been getting some great recommendations off of these, so I figured why not make one. So I'll kind of touch on my favorite series of all time. I'm sure you can see it along with all the characters right here, is Harry Potter. Harry Potter has been an addiction of mine for ages. I can't even remember. Elementary school, I think, is when it started. And it's been a favorite of mine. I try to reread the entire series every year, and as you can see, I have multiple of each book. So I have multiple of the entire series. I have like first editions right here, hardcover first editions, and then I have some paperbacks up there that I read pretty much anytime if I don't want to hurt my first editions. I have illustrated ones right here that I'm gonna start pretty soon reading to my son, and a whole bunch. So I've got a ton, and I love those. So I won't talk too much about it because pretty much the whole world knows about Harry Potter or knows of Harry Potter. So let's start talking about some of the books recently that I have read. And I've read a few in the last month, and I don't think I liked them all. I liked them all, and I would recommend them all, but I'll kind of give you a rundown of which ones I've read. So the first one that I read for 2021 is The Roommate by Rosie Danan. This was such a fun book. Now, mind you, before I get into this, I am more of a romance reader. I love romance. That's kind of like my favorite. Now, the romance tropes, I can go for any of them. Friends to lovers, enemies to lovers, fake romance, just pretty much any romance I love. I love rom-coms, just ones that make you chuckle, ones that I just like light reads. Don't get me wrong, I'll throw in other reads. Do I want thrillers? Do I want suspense? Do I want fiction? Do I want historical fiction? I'll throw in pretty much anything that I just fancy. I do tend to go towards more romance, but I will pick up other books that look good to me. But The Roommate. This was such a fun read, and I was laughing, and I had a hard time putting it down. It was a book that kept me coming back, and I loved it. I'm gonna try to explain this without, blowing anything or giving any spoilers because I don't want to ruin books, but this book is, what's her name? Clara. Clara is the main character in this book. She moves across country and ends up living with a new roommate named Josh. And mind you, Clara is a very, very clean-cut, East Coast rich family girl that you don't bring scandal to the family. You kind of do what you're gonna do. You do, what your family expects of you, and you don't bring any shame or humiliation to the family. Well, her new roommate ends up being a porn star. One of the biggest ones that there is at the time. He's all over the magazines, all this stuff. And so the story is based off of them and their experience of living together and all of that stuff. I kind of won't go into detail because I would recommend this highly. And I think it was such a cute read. It was the story wrapped up very, very well. And I loved to see both of the characters' growth throughout this book, because the book ends with them completely different people than they started. And so I loved to see that growth. So highly, highly recommend 5 stars for this book. Okay, next I read this one I just loved. Plus the cover, I absolutely love it. Is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. First of all, let's look at this cover. It is gorgeous. I love it. Very, very tropical, very happy. I love yellow covers. They're just so bright and inviting, and they make me happy when reading it. So this book is just 5 out of 5 stars. Once again, highly recommend. I literally couldn't put this down the night I finished it. I think I stayed up till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning reading it because I just didn't want to, I literally did not want to put it down. I wanted to finish it before I went to bed. So this follows Olive and, I'm so bad with names, Ethan. Olive and Ethan. So what happens in this book, again, I won't give too many spoilers or anything, but Olive and Ethan end up knowing each other because they're sisters. So Olive's twin and Ethan's brother are getting married, and everybody at the wedding gets sick besides the 2 of them. And so her sister got the honeymoon and everything. Sorry if you can see my dog's tail. He's being nosy in here. But her sister, since her sister and her are twins, her sister was like, take my honeymoon. I have this full paid honeymoon. I can't change the dates or whatever. And her husband, new husband, had told his brother the same thing, because none of the tickets or anything had the brother's first name, so just the last name. So his brother Ethan could go. And so these two, mind you, Olive and Ethan hate each other. You find out in the book why and what happened and but they hate each other. And so they end up going on this gorgeous romantic honeymoon to Hawaii by themselves or together. Who they hate each other. They hate each other. So you get the comedy, you get the hate, you get the love, you get the whatever. So it kind of follows their journey through this honeymoon and have to pretend, they're pretending to be newly married, so they're having to pretend to be lovey-dovey while hating each other and all this stuff. And it is the cutest, sweetest, funniest book that I have read. Well, this year, granted, this year's only been 20 something days, but loved this. 5 out of 5 stars. I loved the story, and there's a little twist at the end that I was not expecting. I was not expecting it whatsoever, and I loved it. It was such a nice little twist thrown in there. It was really good. So 5 out of 5 stars. Highly recommend this. Okay, the third read of 2021 so far is This Time Next Year by Sophie Cousens. I believe is that Cousens? Cousens? I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce that. If you know how to pronounce it, please let me know. But this book, okay, I give this book 4 out of 5 stars. Still a good read, still recommend it. There was just some things that I wasn't too thrilled about. So this follows Minnie Cooper and Quinn Hamilton. So these two ended up born on the same day. 1990, yes, in London. So it's based in London, 1990. And they were the first babies born of the year. So New Year babies. They end up getting born within minutes of each other. And Quinn is comes from a very, very well-off family and has, lived kind of from the outside view, a nice, comfortable life. But in the book, you learn some different things about his life that kind of make it a little bit different. And then you have Minnie, who grew up in a home with not too much money and all kinds of stuff that you learn more in the book. But this is a romance, and so you get to follow their friendship, their romance and stuff. Very cute. It is based off of, you know, New Year's, so if you can read, it's still technically January, so I think you could still get away with it. Or if you just don't care and you want to read it and you don't care that it's not around New Year's time or whatever. I know some people are kind of like that, like, you know, you only watch Christmas movies at Christmas time. But all based on New Year's or around New Year's. But the thing that made me give it 4 stars is that it jumps around. Like, it'll jump a month or 2 ahead, or this or that, or it jumps back and forth a couple months ahead, you know, a couple years backwards. And it's very, very just jumpy. And the backwards jumping doesn't really bother me as much because you get to find out what happens in previous years and whatever, that's fine. But the relationship between them growing as it goes on, with it fast forwarding or jumping months at a time, you don't really get the full connection. It's kind of like I was told about their relationship. I wasn't reading about it. I wasn't reading it for myself. It was kind of just like told to me. If that makes any sense, it wasn't to me a smooth flow of watching their relationship grow, maybe as much as I would want to. Some people might think this is 5-star, and that's fine. That's just for me. I just didn't like the jumping ahead so much. But besides that, great book, great story, love it. Pretty easy read as well. So, loved this book as well. Okay, so now my current read is, first of all, I recently got a book sleeve, and I've never had one before, and I don't know it was taking so long for me to get one because I love this. You can just like literally slide a book in here, throw it in your purse, and your book is protected. Love it. I do need to get a bigger one for hardcovers because it doesn't fully cover my hardcovers, but highly recommend these. These are nice because I always have a book in my purse and they tend to get destroyed. So, okay, current read is the book of the month subscription box book. If you haven't heard of book of the month, I actually think it's a really good deal. $14.99, and this is not sponsored, not at all. I just recently joined it and I got this book and I'm loving it so far. So $14.99 a month, and you get some kind of hardcover, whether it's early release or whatever, you get to choose your book. And it just gets delivered to your door. So I loved it. And the book I chose this month is The Dating Plan by Sara, Desai. I'm really bad at pronouncing names, but this is what this one is. First of all, this is gorgeous. This is kind of what drew me to the book, was the cover of it. It's just so pretty, so happy. Another romance, but this book follows Daisy Patel and Liam Murphy. They have a past where he breaks her heart, she moves on, stuff like this. He ends up coming back into her life, and they have to go into a fake engagement to get her family off her back for marrying someone that her father chooses, and for him to save the company distillery. And I'm only 102 pages in, but so far, cute read. That's what I'm reading right now, and I'm loving it so far. Okay, now I'm just gonna jump into 3 books that is on my to be read list. Whether I finish them or I read them this month, probably not. I'll probably finish off January with The Dating Plan and then move on to these books for the next month. So the first one is One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus. That's what this is, and apparently there's a sequel. I didn't read that, but read the sequel, One of Us is Next. Okay, this is not a romance, but this was recommended to me by one of my best friends. I texted her one day and said, hey, what book should I get? I need a new recommendation, I need something. And she recommended this to me. I just haven't read it yet. But this is kind of like, from what I'm understanding, it's a Breakfast Club meets Pretty Little Liars, kind of. And I love The Breakfast Club, and I was obsessed with Pretty Little Liars. The show, the books, everything's fantastic. I kind of want to reread the books just because for some reason when I think of the books, I remember back then that it was like kind of like put me on edge, and I want to know if it was really that suspenseful or if I was just crazy. Could have been, but I thought this one sounded really good. It's pretty much, it says, on Monday afternoon, 5 students at Bayview High walk into detention, and then one of them never makes it out. But before the end of detention, he's dead, and according to investigators, his death wasn't an accident. But it says that he planned to post juicy reveals about all 4 of his high-profile classmates, which makes all 4 of them suspects in his murder. So pretty much all 5 of them go into detention, 1 dies, 1 of the 4 did it. Who did it? So I think this sounds really good. Okay. This one is probably going to be nothing surprising. If you have not been alive for the last month, then you probably don't know what I'm talking about. But if you're like me and probably 95% of the world, you are obsessed with Bridgerton. Yes, Bridgerton. I watched the show. I loved it. This is on my list. Okay, so I watched the show, fell in love with it, and I was like, I need a 2nd season. And I was like, okay, that's going to be forever, And then I find out there's books that have been written. So many of them. So if you're like me and loved Bridgerton but don't want to wait till the 2nd season that has officially been confirmed, go pick up the books by Julia Quinn. The first one, Bridgerton, is called The Duke and I. But good luck getting your hands on them because I'm having a hard time because everybody's wanting to read them. But this is on my reading list. I know I've already obviously watched the show, but I'm interested to see what the book has compared to the show, how different they are, what the show included. So this is on my list. Super excited. I'll keep you updated, and I'm going to try to get my hands on the rest of the series. I think there's like 8 or 9, or I don't know. There's a whole list of them. Then there's prequels and sequels and all this stuff. So I'm excited to jump into the world of Bridgerton and what was her name? Lady, oh God, I can't even remember her name, and I'm not seeing it. Lady Whistledown, I believe is her name. So I'm excited to jump into this. Did anybody else realize that Lady Whistledown in the show was Julie Andrews, and that like Major Date made the show like 10 times better? Because all I think of is Princess Diaries and Mary Poppins, and I don't know, just made the show better for me. Loved it. Okay. Last book that I have on my reading list that I'm excited for is You Have a Match by Emma Lorde. Okay, so the only reason that I picked this up is because I was obsessed with Emma Lorde's first book, which is where? Right here. Her first book, Tweet Cute. Such a cute book. This one I should have actually added in my favorites that I read. This was read in December. But this book is about, oh, what are their names? Pepper and Jack. Yes, Pepper Jack cheese. Pepper and Jack. They, Pepper is the daughter of a hamburger chain, like Burger King. That's kind of what it's based off of. And then Jack is the son of a man who owns a deli in New York. The two start fighting through the accounts on Twitter, and they don't know that they're fighting each other online, but in school they're not really friends, but there's this app with people that from the school that can join, and they're secretly talking to each other. And so they're kind of entangled in this whole mess that they have no clue that they're entangled in. And it's just a sweet little romance between two teenagers in high school. I think they're seniors. Just a sweet romance that you get to see grow on Twitter, in real life, on this app. You get to see it all in different aspects, and so it's just the cutest book. So that's what made me pick up this one. So now this one, first of all, this is just such a cute little cover. I love it. This was also a huge deal. Was picked up to be in Reese's book club. So that is Reese Witherspoon's young adult book club. Yeah. So this follows Abby. So Abby signs up for a DNA, you know, one of those services that you do the swab and you send it off, whatever. She did this in the book, and turns out that she, is it a twin or a sister? A secret sister. That's an Instagram star. She finds out that she has a sister that she never knew about, all this stuff, and you know what, I'm just going to read it to you because I'm not good at reading and then explaining. So it says, when Abby signs up for a DNA service, it's mainly to give her friend and secret love interest Leo a nudge. After all, she knows who she is already. Avid photographer, injury-prone tree climber, best friend to Leo and Connie, although ever since the BEI, big embarrassing incident with Leo, things have been awkward on that front. But she didn't know she's a younger sister. When the DNA service reveals Abby has a secret sister, shimmering-haired Instagram star Savannah Tooley, it's hard to believe they're from the same planet, never mind the same parents, especially considering Savannah, queen of the green smoothies, is only a year and a half older than Abby herself. The logical course of action, meet up at summer camp, obviously, and figure out why Abby's parents gave Savvy up for adoption. But there are complications. Savvy is a rigid rule follower and total narc. Leo is the camp's co-chef, putting Abby's growing feelings for him on blast, and her parents have a secret that threatens to unravel everything. But part of life is showing up, leaning in, and learning to fit all your awkward pieces together, because sometimes the hardest things can also be the best ones. I thought that this sounded like a good plot, one that I haven't heard before, which was very similar to this. Her plots and her storylines are so unique. I have not heard of, a lot of romance books, you read kind of the same thing over and over again, which I still love, I still do it, but these are new to me, at least to me. If there's ones that you think match these, please let me know. I'd love to read them. But this one just sounded really cute, and I love Tweet Cute, so I'm assuming I'm just going to eat this up as well. So I'm very excited to read this book. So if you like these kind of videos and want me to do more, please let me know. I love reading. I'm so into it, and you know what? I feel like I can talk on and on about books, so if this video's so long, I'm sorry. I just love talking about books. So please, if you have recommendations, leave them below. If you want me to review a book, let me know. Whichever you want me to start reading different kinds of books and just anything. Please let me know. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and please make sure to subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks!